Yes. Yay. Okay, you can hear me. All right. I don't know why it said it was unmuted, but I guess it was muted. Okay, we got you. All right. Take 3. Hello, everybody. Chuck Holton here. Thank you for watching the Hot Zone. We've got a special kind of edition of the Hot Zone because we've got some breaking news out of Syria, and I wanted to talk about it, so I'm going live a little earlier than usual. You've probably heard there's been quite a bit of fighting in Syria over the last few days because there are anti-regime rebels that are trying to topple the government of Syria under the president Bashar al-Assad. Now, because of that, the only problem with that, it wouldn't be a bad thing to take care of Bashar al-Assad. Hello, dear. Oh, okay. Would not be a bad thing to get Bashar al-Assad out of there, except for the fact that it is the people who are trying to overthrow Bashar al-Assad are likely worse than Assad. So that's a problem. And it is certainly going to be interesting to watch as this goes down. We've seen the rebels continuing to gain ground. Assad's forces are abandoning their positions in place, leaving weapons behind, even up to helicopters and fighter jets. And it's insane. I mean, how many military munitions and things that they have captured already just in a very short time. Now, the breaking news is that we're getting news today that the United States has gotten involved with this conflict in striking at Iranian-backed militia forces who have entered Syria from the. Can you guys hear me or not? I still have people that say no sound, but hopefully, just let me know if you can hear me. The Hashishabi has entered Syria from Iraq, and they are moving to go and help the rebel forces fight against the regime. But the United States is there to help the Kurds. So we have to go to the map on this because this is so confusing and just really crazy. So I'm going to go look at a map here. Not that map. Not that map. Where'd my map go? There we go. There's my map. Okay. If you look here, the areas in red are controlled by the regime, right? And you see Damascus down there. That area in blue is the part of Israel that was taken from Syria after the 1967 war. And you can see the Iraqi border down here to the south, the Jordanian border. You can see the Israel border over there, and the different colors here. Red is the forces that are loyal to the president. Yellow are the areas that are controlled by the Kurds. The kind of aquamarine there, kind of bluish tint near Tel Abyad and Afrin. What?
They haven't seen anything on
the map. They're not seeing the map. Okay, thank you. Wait, you're not seeing that map, really? Okay, well, my virtual camera apparently is not working. Okay. Well, I don't know if I can fix that. Studio mode. Yeah, you should be able to see that. Okay, well, we're trying some new things here. So let me just let you know, folks, that if you want to watch this live without the ads, you can go to locals and go to my page at chuckholton.com, and you can watch it over there and then not have the ads. So that's a good thing. So let me just kind of explain to you how do we. shoot, there's got to be a way to show this. We're showing the virtual camera. Oh, I know. There we go. How about like this? There we go. All right, I got the map up there. Now, the red areas in red are owned, controlled by the Syrian government. The areas in yellow up here in the northeastern section of Syria are what they call Rojava. And Rojava is controlled by the Serbs, right? And that, area has been controlled by the Serbs since the fight against ISIS. And the United States is backing the Kurds there. Then the part in blue is where it says Tel Abyad and Afrin. Those are areas that are controlled by the Turkish aligned forces. They call it Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or Free Syrian Army over there. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham owns the green areas near Idlib, and now down here in the south, these other rebel forces that are pushing this green area from the Iraqi-Jordanian border. Okay, so you can see how complicated this is. And right here in Deir ez-Zor is where I want to focus for the moment. Deir ez-Zor is the place where the United States has troops currently stationed, about 900 troops as of last count. And these guys are mostly Army Rangers from my unit, the unit that I used to belong to 100 years ago. And what they're doing there is protecting the Kurdish forces, helping the Kurdish forces out, and they are keeping a lid on ISIS because ISIS is still in the area. Actually, these black areas here, I believe, are ISIS-controlled areas. And so the United States has a base in Deir ez-Zor, right in the border of the yellow region there. And they are striking at ISIS whenever they can find them. That's what they've been doing for years. Just they've had a constant deployment going there for a long time. And then what we are hearing today is that now it's, I'm looking, we've got 52 people waiting over there. Connie, can you go over to the other live, that the duplicate one, and tell people to come over to this one? Because they're sitting there waiting and they're not seeing that live. Maybe we ought to cancel that other one as well. They're not clicking on the link that I'm sending over there. Anyway, so what we're seeing now is that there are over, the United States is sending fighter planes, A-10 Warthogs and others, attack aircraft, to strike at the Hashishabi. These are the Iranian-backed militias who are going to help the fighting against the Syrian regime. Now, this is, just think about how strange this is. We've got the United States, which would love nothing more than to replace Bashar al-Assad with somebody friendlier, that is now essentially defending Bashar al-Assad because they are being threatened by essentially ISIS. These are Al-Qaeda affiliates. They are the Free Syrian Army, and the Free Syrian Army is essentially the United Nations of ISIS. There were a lot of ISIS fighters who moved over to the Free Syrian Army in 2017, 18, 19. And so they are finding it's just strange bedfellows here. So the United States striking at the Hashishabi, Iranian-backed militias, basically they're not trying to support the Syrian government, but essentially doing so, and fighting against the forces that are being supported by Turkey, which is apparently one of our allies, supposed to be one of our allies. So that's okay. That's kind of the way things work in Syria. Yeah, that is a 75th Ranger Regiment that is fighting in or stationed in Deir ez-Zor, fighting all over Syria. But so to the troops on the ground, we've had on the ground for a long time, and that's nothing new. But the thing that is new is that we have over 50 Iranian militants that were killed as they were going to help the rebels fight against Bashar al-Assad, and they were killed by A-10 Warthog airplanes, which are one of the most deadly aircraft on planet Earth. And so, yeah, it's just that it's so convoluted and mixed up. I'm not necessarily saying that we shouldn't be doing this. If we have a opportunity to take out Hashishabi forces, we should do it. Because those guys have been bombing American bases, attacking American bases for a couple of years, and especially since the war started in Israel. There have been more than 200 separate attacks on American forces in Iraq and Syria since October 7th, 2023. These are missile attacks, rocket attacks, drone attacks, and mortars and snipers and all sorts of things. Okay, so the United States has struck at these Hashishabi, militants before, but and we don't know exactly where they're striking at them. The thing I'm reading here says this is from OSINT Defender on X, and he says that over 50 Iranian-backed militants were killed, and at least a dozen military trucks and technicals were destroyed yesterday in the Deir ez-Zor governorate. So what it sounds to me like is that these Iranian-backed militias were approaching too close to where U.S. forces are living. And if they're coming down the road, and I've been on that road, I've been to this base where the Rangers are, and if those militant units driving military trucks with machine guns in the back of them are driving by there and coming too close to our base, you can bet they're going to get smacked. And calling in a warthog is a great way to make a statement, for sure, because those people will be on the express train to their 72 virgins if a warthog comes too close. So it says, in addition, several Iranian sites near the town of Al-Mayadeen were also targeted by coalition aircraft, resulting in the destruction of a command center and barracks. These strikes were likely carried out in support of the SDF, the Syrian Democratic Forces, who have begun to advance into Assad regime and Iranian-backed territory along the Euphrates River in preparation for a possible large-scale offensive in eastern Syria, similar to the one ongoing now in the west of the country. So this is what is concerning and honestly kind of crazy. The United States is employing the U.S. Air Force to assist Syrian Democratic Forces in taking land from the Syrian government, which is a dictatorial authoritarian regime for sure, and is killing Iranian-backed militiamen and likely some IRGC commanders who are leading them. Now, I just have to tell you, I've got some experience with this. One time when I was in Iraq during the fight against ISIS, we came up to a checkpoint just outside of Mosul, and we got stopped. And they weren't really allowing anybody through, but everybody needed to get through. And there's a big line of cars just like waiting. And so we pulled off to the side of the road. We were, our translators were out there trying to, coordinate with, I guess is the best term, with the people manning the checkpoint to let us through. But the people manning the checkpoint had word from their higher not to let anybody through. And it was back and forth back for several hours we were there. And all of a sudden, a big line of vehicles came driving alongside all the vehicles that were already parked there. And because it's desert, so it's not like if the road's blocked, you can't just go around everybody. So they just came right around everybody. And it was probably 50 trucks full of fighters. They all had guns and, they had their weapons out and they all had their uniforms on and stuff. And we were told immediately by our translator, do not film them, do not look at them, try to go over here off to the side and pretend you're not there. Because these are Hashishabi. These are Iranian-backed militiamen. They're Shiite militias, and they hate Americans and they will kill you. So just go over there and pretend you're not here and stay out of the way. So we did. We were just kind of standing around and acting nonchalant as we could. And all of a sudden, this older man with white hair and a white beard and a uniform came striding up out of one of the vehicles to talk to the guys at the checkpoint. And I was with Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North at the time. And North said, "Oh my gosh, do you know who that guy is? That guy that is standing there, the older guy, is Qasem Soleimani." If you remember, Qasem Soleimani was the IRGC commander who was killed at the end of the Trump administration just outside the airport in Baghdad. And he was the #1 guy, in the IRGC. And I literally was standing like 20 yards from him as he walked by to go talk to those people. So I forget where I was going, but I was kind of walking alongside a little bit the line of vehicles that had all the Hashishabi in it, trying to not pay any attention to them. And one of the Hashishabi guys in the back of one of the pickup trucks said, "Hey man, what's up?" in like perfect English. And I just kind of stopped. And he said, "Yeah, hey, you, hey, what's going on, man? Where are you guys from?" And I turned and I looked at him and I was like, "You speak English?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm an American." It's like, "You're an American? What are you doing here with these guys?" And he's like, "Well, I'm also Iraqi, and but I grew up in America, and so I've been fighting with these guys for a while. And hey, come over here, let's talk." So, he invited me over and I couldn't very well say no. So I walked over to the truck and stood there with all these Hashishabi fighters, and they were super friendly to me. And they were like, yeah, what's up? And he was like translating for these guys and they're asking me questions. And it's a good question, Bob. I'll answer your question in a second. They're asking me questions about America and what are you guys doing here? And I was like, "Well, we're here with a humanitarian organization, the Free Burma Rangers, and we're trying to help the people that need it and help people get it." And they're like, "Oh, that's great." And yeah, at the time, since everybody was fighting against ISIS, the Syrian Democratic Forces, the Kurds in Iraq and the Hashishabi were all on the same side, right? They weren't fighting against each other. And so, they were like, yeah, we got to go get these ISIS guys out of here, blah, 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 whatever. And I was wearing a dog tag that was given to me by a friend of mine named Kenny Vaughn, who owns a company that makes these special dog tags that have scripture verses on them. And mine had like an American flag on one side and a scripture verse on the back. And so one of the Hashishabi commanders, who was this guy was just really evil looking guy. Had this black bandana on with some writing on it. He had his AK-47 and smoking a cigarette. And he was like, "Hey!" And I turned around and looked at him, and he was like, blah, 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 and he was pointing it at me, and I was like, oh man, here we go. What's he saying? And then the American guy goes, oh no, he likes your dog tag there. I was like, oh, he likes it. And you know, in Arab culture, if somebody says they like something, what they're really saying is they want it. And so I was like, well, would you want it? It's my gift to you. I'd love to give it to you. And the guy's like, oh, great. And so I put it around his neck, and he was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, can I get a picture of you with it? And he's like, sure. So I took a picture of him. And then I remembered, oh, we're not supposed to be taking pictures of these guys, but he just told me I could. So then I was like, well, hey, can I pray for you? And the guy's like, oh, absolutely. Yes, please pray for us. We're going into battle. And so I prayed for this Hashishabi commander and gave him my scripture verse dog tag. And who knows, he might still be wearing that thing to this day. Now, he didn't know what it said, but it is, it was one of those moments you just go like, what, how did I get here? This is crazy. With Qasem Soleimani standing 20 yards away, arguing with the guys at the checkpoint, I stood there and prayed for an IRGC commander. It's a Hashishabi commander, in just before they went into battle against ISIS. Nuts, absolutely nuts. And then I walked away, and all my buddies were like, what the hell are you doing, man? What's wrong with you? You're not supposed to talk to those guys. I'm like, he speaks English. They talk to me. And so anyway, I didn't get any footage of that, but I did actually get a picture. And if I can find the picture, I'll put it up over at chuckholton.com. On that note, folks, if you want to watch without all the ads, you can go over to locals, go to chuckholton.com. It'll take you to my locals page, and you can watch there without the ads. Okay. But you do have to be a supporter at chuckholton.com. But that's a good way to support my work. And folks, I'm leaving right after this live to go to, in about 5 minutes, actually. I got to hurry up. I got one more interview coming up in 5 minutes. And then I'm going to the airport and heading to Ukraine. And so day after tomorrow, I will be in Ukraine. I'll be bringing you reports live with my Starlink that you all provided from on the ground in Ukraine. And we'll let you know what's really happening over there. So I hope you will become a supporter over at chuckholton.com. And we'll be helping some people out along the front lines. We're going to be taking Christmas gifts and things out to the front lines for the troops and the people who are stuck out there. So Grayson, Georgia says, question, do you think the Assad will let them get that far so his military could sound them and take care of them once and for all? No, I don't think Assad's military is all that strong, Marlene. I think that what we're seeing right now is that Assad's military is very poorly motivated and led and equipped. And so other than the fact that the Russians have been conducting airstrikes on behalf of the Syrian army, and I put the video of one of those up on chuckholton.com this morning. Other than the Russians, the Syrians are losing left and right over there. And so this is what's, I've been saying for some time, we're in World War III. This is World War III. Folks, you have the Russian military striking in Syria on behalf of the Syrian army. Meanwhile, the Syrian Democratic Forces, led by the Kurds, are being supported by the United States with A-10 Warthogs, killing Iranian-backed militias from Iraq in Syria, and helping the Syrian Democratic Forces push into Syrian-controlled territory and take more territory in there. Meanwhile, the people that the Syrian army is fighting the most are led by Turkey, and so that everybody's just trying to take more land here. The Turks are fighting with the HTS forces, okay, the Free Syrian Army, and pushing in from the north. The Iranians are pushing in from the southeast, and the Iranians are going to help the Syrians. And so the Iranians would be, or the Hashishabi would be fighting against the Kurds and they've been trying to get Kurds out of Aleppo. There's a sizable Kurdish community in Aleppo, and if you look at the map, it's pretty far from the area that's controlled by the Kurds in Rojava. So that they've opened a humanitarian corridor this morning. There's 150,000 people that they've been trying to get out through that corridor, but the Syrians and the Iranian-backed militias have been striking that corridor. And so there are people that are stuck in there. I mean, it's an absolute mess. It's an absolute mess. So Bob in Virginia said, out of curiosity, where are the A-10 stationed? Likely they're stationed in Erbil at the airport in northern Iraq. That would be my guess. I don't think we have any airfields that are open that are supporting forces like that in Syria. So they're flying from northern Iraq. Okay, there's a lot more, and I'll have to do some more of these soon. Maybe when I get to the hotel tonight, I can go live again if we got any new developments. But right now, I've got another live to do in 60 seconds, and I don't even know where I'm supposed to do it. So I got to go. All right, so God bless you all. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time on the Hot Zone. Please like and share the podcast, folks. We'll see you.